Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm E.G. Creel, the author of Lily. Lily, Episode 1, Very Bad Luck Indeed. Lily was born with a shadow. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Everybody has a shadow, and you'd be right. But Lily's shadow was a little different, because even though Lily looked it, she wasn't human. She was, or rather is, a Dubin, and Dubins always give birth to twins. So when, in the very rare case, a single child was born, like Lily, that child was considered to have a shadow. And every Dubin knows shadows are very bad luck. Dubins were magical creatures that shared their powers with their siblings. A shadow, on the other hand, was pure magic without a conscience. And shadows didn't share. That's why the eldest member of the Dubin tribe was carrying the newly born Lily in his arms, wrapped in a soft, blood-stained cloth from her birth, towards the edge of the village, where he was regrettably about to throw the now crying Lily off a cliff. Back in Lily's hut, her father was consoling her mother as the village midwife began to boil water for tea over the fireplace. "What awful, rotten luck," the old woman mumbled to herself over the heartbroken sobs of Lily's mother. Not in her long life had she seen a shadow being born. It was such a rare thing that only seemed to happen every few hundred years. But the chaos and pure havoc a shadow wreaked on its people were so devastating, its legacy was told and retold down through the generations of the Dubin people as a warning. Another interesting thing about Dubins was not only were they born together, but they're so closely bound by their magic that they died together too. That's why the old midwife knew what had to be done. She called upon her twin brother, who came to collect the carefully wrapped, warm, sleeping bundle, and he carried it swiftly out of the hut to the cliffs, because logically, the only way to kill a shadow was to kill its twin, no matter how innocent that twin might be. Rotten luck indeed. The old midwife never had a chance to finish making her cup of tea. As she watched the water begin to simmer, a shocking sensation of falling came over her. With a loud gasp, she fell back onto the floor, her arms sprawled out to her sides and her back angled in a way that looked as if it were broken. The old midwife's eyes stared at the roof unblinking as she let out a lingering word with her last breath. "Shadow!" Lily's mother and father looked up from their grieving embrace and down at the dead midwife. Their grief momentarily turned to hope, and Lily's father kissed his wife's forehead before he ran out of their hut to the cliffs to look for their newborn daughter. He found her lying safely on the ground in a patch of tiny white lilies and decided at that moment what her name should be. The only thing that remained of the old man was one of his leather slippers, which was caught on a root very near the edge of the cliff. Lily's father looked around to make sure he wasn't being watched and casually tossed the old man's slipper over the edge. Then he carefully picked up Lily, tucked her safely underneath his cloak, and decided to bring her back to where she belonged. A regrettable decision, but understandable given the circumstances. "Your mother and I love you very much," he whispered in his baby's ears as he safely tucked her behind his mother's warm bosom. In the firelight, Lily's shadow flickered as it rested on its mother's other breast. Lily's father watched it for a moment as it wiggled about to get comfortable. Then he looked down at the body of the old midwife, and his momentary feelings of joy turned quickly into a knotted lump of dread. Very bad luck indeed.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the minds of authors. I am doing a happy dance. I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did because it's going to be an amazing episode. But just remember, if you're new to our episodes, you need to go ahead and get the inside scoop of what we do behind the scenes. Join the Patreon community. You can watch the unedited video anytime. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so now. You don't want to miss an episode. So let's get started. Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Minding my shadow and making sure it's behaving itself.
Please do. We will hate for horrible things to happen to us in this middle of this episode. Let's just keep everything under control. How are you feeling today?
I am relaxed and rejuvenated. How about you, my dear?
I'm pretty good. So I need to jump in because we met a couple months ago. We talked about your new book, which was amazing. It was a children's book and the Amazon Live. And now we're talking about your novel. And I want to know more about it. Where did this idea come from? Because it's super cute and a little bit dark. So I need to know more.
It started with a sentence. Lily was born with a shadow. And as soon as I said that sentence out loud, everyone's heads turned to me and they wanted to know more. And so did I. So I began to tell Lily's story, and it ended up becoming a crossover for a character in another book as well. And so Lily's story may be short, but it's part of a larger story.
What genre is this book in? Give us a little bit of more of that for everybody who's kind of curious, because it comes in different aspects. So where would you place it at?
I think I would call it grim dark fantasy.
I like that. What elements are you bringing into this and what people can expect?
It's a very fast paced and short read. So it's a good palate cleanser if you're in between large series, or if you want to listen to it on Audible on a car ride that's about an hour long, it's perfect for that. It packs in so many elements that it feels like a longer series, but it is actually very short to read. I think paperback is 31 pages long is all it is.
So this is a really fun novella for anybody who's wondering about it, but it comes with all these really fun elements. So when you decided to have it a shadow, because nobody thinks of a shadow as bad, how is this playing into this universe of magic? Because it comes with magic. Come on, it's just save the baby and oops, there goes the other guy.
Right. I mean, the shadow needs to protect itself. And it really is kind of a gray character with what is good and what is bad and who decides that. And there are no bad guys. And at the same time, people who think they're trying to protect themselves, they're trying to kill an innocent baby. How good is that? And then for the shadow then to kill the old man, is it really the shadow's fault? Is it really Lily's fault, even though she's the one suffering the consequences of it? And that theme kind of goes throughout the whole thing. I suppose it depends on what side of the story you are to determine if the fate that happens to the people in the story is good or evil.
I love it. You write in multiple genres. How do you switch back and forth between them?
Well, I suppose we eat multiple things. We like different foods. We have sweet teeth, and when we do, we make a dessert. When sometimes we want something savory, sometimes we want a donut. I enjoy writing donuts. Quick, comforting, and entertaining. But sometimes we also want to maybe have different courses, and we want to have a big Sunday dinner with all of the different sides or the big Thanksgiving meal. So I think writing is spices, and I decide what spice I'm in the mood for and cook up a story.
Ooh, that's such a beautiful way of putting it. I love it. You're very much a storyteller from the way you read, from the books you're writing. What is your favorite part of it?
I suppose the favorite part is sharing it and finding its audience. When someone gets to see the finished product and gets goosebumps and enjoys it, and that head turn is so addicting. And I really crave someone telling me that they read it and they were immersed and they hallucinated with me the same story, and that it satisfied their craving and they're no longer, in a sense, hungry. I guess just like a chef would do, right? What's the best compliment is if somebody burps at the end of the meal, compliments to the chef.
Love it. You're working on multiple things. What are you working on now? Can you give us a little sneak peek?
I'm writing a Vella and I'm trying to post an episode every week. And it's a very immature drama with a lot of gossip in it right now, which isn't something I've written before, but it's a vampire story. And I suppose it may be my first attempt at writing to market. I'm not very good at knowing what the market wants. And I figure, well, I know what I want. I'm cooking for myself, I'm writing for myself. And if somebody else enjoys it, that's wonderful. So I'm not sure how in love I am with the story yet, but it's gaining traction and it's becoming darker and darker. And the darker it is, the more bittersweet I want to bite into it.
That is so much fun. I'm just jumping between Lily and jumping between other works. You said Lily's part of a universe. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What universe is this story a part of? And what can we expect from it?
So, Norse mythology has many different realms, and we live in Midgard. Midgard is Earth. Lily lives in another one of those realms, the ones that aren't really discussed too much, the ones that Marvel hasn't really gotten into. There's no frost giants in Lily, but there is magic and there are wizards, and so it's just another realm. And I thought there's 7 of them to explore. Why not put some characters in there and start developing little stories? So it's not completely from scratch, but I did create the creatures myself. But I used the idea of the concept of that there are other realms, and these are stories from characters in those places.
And you get to play with different worlds as well as bringing people back into something that's familiar. Where can our people find you in terms of your novels?
If you're looking for any of them, you can find them all on Amazon. But if you prefer not to go the Amazon route, you can also ask your local bookstore to order almost all of my books, all except for Lily. Lily is only on Amazon because I guess she's such a small book. I didn't put her on Ingram and I didn't put her out in a wide distribution. But I may change that now that Ingram is dropping their fee, their upload
Mhm.
fee. And since I am such a small author, I'm not concerned about the 1% extra fee for selling books because, if I sell 10 copies of Lily, woohoo, that's great for me. So I may go ahead and make another edition of her, but you can listen to her on Audible or you can read her on KU. I think she's really fun to listen to because I found a narrator who's this old wizard. He has a British accent. And so when I wrote her, I imagined David Attenborough kind of doing a nature show and narrating the story. And so that's kind of, I thought, well, what would he say in the story? And so hopefully that narration kind of comes across in the reading.
Ooh, that's so much fun. Sweetie, as you continue to write and develop your process, what have you learned of this business that you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming?
I have learned the very painful lesson of patience and how it cannot be granted now. And it is a inventory that I am creating for myself of stories, and that it's not like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come, write it and they will read it. It's not the case, unfortunately. And so to be a good storyteller does not make you a good salesperson. And I have yet to put my energy into selling productively. My energy is right now in the creative process and creating more. And hopefully that inventory will then someday be discovered like treasure in the bottom of the sea.
With that concept in mind, what advice would you give an up and coming author who's getting ready to launch this whole like, hey, I'm taking this leap? What would you tell them?
Be completely unrealistic. Yours will be the one that sells 1 million copies. Because if you think of it on realistic terms, you won't do it. When you realize how much hard work it is, just be naive and write what you want and finish it no matter what. And then let the reality come in after the product is done. Because if you let reality seep in before that, then you'll never finish your product. It's becomes overwhelming.
That is such a good advice. I haven't heard anybody say it before because we are so focused on being realistic. We're so focused on going, this is all the things you have to do. And sometimes we lose the magic of it and tend to kind of get lost. Have you found yourself in that space? I'm like, okay, I need to just focus on the magic and stop thinking of all the other stuff.
Absolutely. It's a complete roller coaster. I dip and feel like, oh, why did I ever do it? And then I listen to my own story and realize I still really love it. And, I think Stan Lee said something, don't let anyone talk you out of a good idea. So if you have a good idea and you really believe it's a good idea, it doesn't matter if anyone else does, you just need to do that. You need to see it through.
Oh, for our listeners, remember you have to follow your heart sometimes, even though your head might be telling you, don't do this, do something else, because it's still their passion that comes with it. So, dear, tell us, you got multiple projects going on. How many series do you have going on right now?
Well, just the one.
You still have your children's books that we haven't talked about.
Right, but they're finished. So
Okay.
I guess now I have to meet people and sell them in person. That's daunting. It makes me nervous. And I don't know why it does. I guess I have to reflect a little internally. I guess am I afraid of rejection? I don't think so, because it's part of the process. But once I find my audience, I know I'll be really happy. But I guess it feels like work now. It's no longer play.
This is the part of the business. I think writing the books, creating the books, and bring them to life is the fun part for every author. The other side of the business is like, oh, now we gotta go and tell people about these books. And sometimes
Yeah.
it is overwhelming.
I have to put on my name tag, and it's work now. Now is the work. And,
Now is the business. It's a little bit of the business. So absolutely, I can understand that and relate, but it's still, you come with so much and you have an amazing personality. So you're not going to have a hard time connecting with your audience to be able to pick up this book. So trust me, enjoy it as much as you can, because once you make that connection, you're going to be like, oh, I love live events.
You're
It's
right.
so much
I
fun.
know. As soon as I see a little kid pick up my book and say, "Mommy, I want this," and the problem I have too is I'm happy to give things away for free way too often. So if a kid walks by and wants my book and the mom says no, I'd be like, "Hey, kid, shh, take the book." So I don't think I'm ever going to make money. I'm just happy to give it away, but it would be nice to eventually be able to pay for the projects themselves. To break even would be excellent.
I think you're going to have to need an assistant to actually be there and be like, we're selling this one.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
give you
so.
one. I'll give you one for free if you buy one. So we need to make sure that you still be able to pay for the projects. I like that. That's a beautiful way to put it. Sweetie, where can our listeners find you? Where they can learn more about you? Where can they sign up for your newsletter? Tell us.
Oh, I do have a newsletter. It's on a really shady free Wix website that doesn't have my name, that has a bunch of nonsense in front of it. But if you just Google E.G. Creel, my website will come up, and then you can sign up for the newsletter on there. It's not very active, but I'll send out something on occasion. People can contact me that way as well. And all my books are linked there as well. And yeah, I appreciate it. It would be amazing if you wanted to connect and maybe be an ARC reader for something, then go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. Thank you.
Before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
There's a lightning round?
There is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Easy peasy. Don't think
Bring
too
it.
much about it.
Okay.
Spiked drinks or virgin ones?
Oh, I love myself a mocktail. I will take the virgin ones. I love the flavor, but alcohol doesn't agree with me.
Fair enough. Pancakes or waffles?
Mm. Ooh, pancakes with a piece of turkey bacon rolled inside of it. So it's like a pancake burrito.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious. Superhero or scientist?
Scientists can make superheroes. Scientists are superheroes. Scientists.
Nice. Beach or lake?
I like the beach because
Okay.
low tide and high tide, and I can look for shark's teeth and sand dollars.
Nice, nice. Here's a little different one. Let's see how you do. If you had a warning label, what would it be?
Redhead, beware, back off.
You didn't have to think about it. You're like on point with that one. I am impressed. Sweetie, do you have any closing remarks for us?
I am so grateful that you've had me on here today. Thank you very much. And keep creating, even if you try to talk yourself out of it, tell yourself you're worth it and write a story or two or eight.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the books. Absolutely. Keep writing. We have anyone we need to know about it. To our listeners, make sure to go ahead. Follow this amazing Miss Eva. Go ahead, check out the books, check out the website. You are going to love them. And if you're new to the podcast, remember to subscribe. You don't want to miss an episode. And if you want to see the behind the scenes, go ahead, sign up for the Patreon community. I will see you back again next week. Bye, everyone.